Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to Copper Jacket TV. So today we've got something extremely important to talk about. We've talked a lot recently about Illinois and their ban, the registration deadline, the mass non-compliance that's happening in that state. People are just absolutely not having those unconstitutional laws, and for good reason, obviously. But now I'm seeing something that is kind of disturbing. I'm seeing something that looks like a trap set by the state of Illinois to catch people who didn't register by the deadline. So let's talk about what's going on. Now, before we get started, if you have an extra second, hit that subscribe button. It's free, but it helps us get our message to a much greater audience, and it lets the powers that be know that people want to see this type of content. And if you want to be notified that new videos have come out, hit that little alarm bell, and that'll let you know right away. So with that being said, let's get to it. Okay, so let's go and talk about what's going on here, because this is pretty messed up, and I'm sure that a vast majority of you out there will be able to see right through it and see exactly what's going on, but it still needs to be said. So in Illinois, with their so-called assault weapons ban, there was a period of time that was open for you to register whatever it was that they wanted you to register. That time period closed on December 31st, so you would think that now registration closed, but it didn't. They're still allowing people to register after the deadline. So we're January 8th now, and apparently the website is still open and still allowing people to register post the end date. That means that what you're doing when you fill out that affidavit and you fill out all your information and you say what you own and what you're trying to register, you're doing it after the law already took effect and after the last day that you still had to register. Now, here's the thing. Some in the government and some government affiliations have said that they're not going to prosecute, they're not going to go after people who decide to register post December 31st. But that's not everybody. That's not county prosecutors. There are over 100 counties in Illinois. Okay? Each one has its own prosecutor. And so even if the governor says, we're not going to go after anybody who decides to register, on the 5th, 6th, 7th, or 8th, or whatever it is, however long they're going to keep that website open for registration, that doesn't mean that on a local level it can't still happen. So if you think, okay, you changed your mind, maybe. You changed your mind, you decided that you're going to register because the website's still open, it'll still allow you to do that. All you're doing is affirming to the government that you broke the law. That is what you're doing if you fill that thing out. So what they've done is they've left this thing open to create a way for you to incriminate yourself. Now, putting aside registration after the deadline, which again, in my opinion, is just an absolute trap because there's no written statement from any authority on the local level and the state level that guarantees that nobody is going to come after you register after the deadline. There's still a ton of problems, not just with the constitutionality of this law, but with its implementation. It doesn't seem like the state knows how to enforce it, given the fact that the compliance numbers were so low, and then you have local sheriffs who are saying that they're just absolutely not going to comply and that they're not going to enforce it. And so it's just an absolute cluster right now. Now, unfortunately, the cases that have been challenging the constitutionality of this law have failed. So the only thing left is the Supreme Court. That's like our last hope, right? Our last ditch effort to get all of this overturned. Now, thankfully, we have previous Supreme Court precedent, right? So we could take a look at Heller, we could take a look at Bruin, and we can see for ourselves that this is unconstitutional, what they're doing in the state. But it's that last little bastion of hope that we're writing everything on. So it really is up to the Supreme Court to tell the state and to tell other states that you can't do this. They are in common use for lawful purposes and therefore protected by the Second Amendment. And we all know that they've been protected before the Second Amendment ever existed, but still, this is our legal way of holding the government accountable. So again, it's just an absolute mess what's going on in Illinois right now, but I hope that you people would be smart enough not to fall for any, post-registration that they've put forward, because remember, the governor and pretty much everybody else has said December 31st was the deadline. And without a piece of paper saying that I'm protected from everyone, I'm not doing anything. So that's just kind of where I land on it. Regardless, I wanted to let you guys know about that and maybe avoid some pitfalls. I want to thank you all very much for watching. If you haven't done so already, please hit that subscribe button. You guys have a good one.